Hi everyone, welcome to another breakdown live stream all about X-Men 97. This week it is, of course, X-Men 97 Season 2, Episode 6, which is titled Danger.EXE. Hope everyone's doing well. I can see Max, you're here. You said, I cannot believe we got dupe. I've been telling everyone I know about. None of them know what I'm talking about. I've been blocked by at least 7 family members. And as I said, more people need to know about dupe. Um, yeah, that was a crazy one. I actually think though, when I watched it earlier and I reacted to it, I feel like I didn't even acknowledge dupe. I was so lost in like, oh my god, rock slide, oh my god, this, oh my god, and I just forgot. Maybe I was too in the moment of like, oh my god, they're doing the reference to Astonishing X-Men to think about dupe. But yeah, dupe, love dupe. Well, do I love dupe? Dupe is a character that exists, no. And Karen, you're here as well. I hope you're good. I did a double take. My eyes didn't believe it at first. What a wonderful world. Yes, what a wonderful world. Well, I hope everyone is doing well as usual. I can only see the chat, so if you're here and you haven't commented, then I don't know you're here, so say hello. Can everyone hear me well? Is the sound good? Let me know. Also, just an update um on the hot toys, we have now got all four. Jean's up further than I can't reach Jean, but here's Wolverine for reference. So now we have all four of the Dave's Hot Chicken X-Men 97 Season 2 toys. I guess if you think about it, they cost £50, which for four, which I guess that's kind of a rip-off. £12.50 for each. Wow. But you know, needs must and whatnot. But there you go. I think that's everything. I don't know what are people's if you could summarize the episode in one word before we get into the breakdown. If you could summarize the episode or your feelings towards the episodes, how would you describe it, everyone? I'm gonna think. I haven't even thought what I would say. I just came up with this on the top of my head. From the top of my head. Off the top of my head. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say I was trying to think of a funny magnetic. I don't know, exhilarating, I think this episode was. Yeah. I'm surprised Dave's is international. Me too, to be fair. I also, when I'd first heard about that they were doing this, I thought, well, no way they're going to do it here, even though there is a Dave's in the city where I live. Then I got an email from Dave's Hot Chicken Marketing or whatever saying, hi, just to let you know that you can get the X meal a day early by going to your nearest branch and going, can I have the X meal? But it wasn't free. I was kind of surprised. I was like, oh, I'm getting this email as if I'm some influencer, which I'm not. But yeah, so turns out it is real, and that's fun. But yes, while I wait for people's comments on that, I will get everything ready. I think everything is sorted this time. We're not going to have any issues with the thing. We're not going to have any issues with the photos. I think they're all in order. But we shall see if that goes to plan. Um, let's go. So, and if anyone else pops in, hi. Oh, there you go, James. Hi, James. Danger, Will Robinson. Wait, wrong series. That rings a bell, but I don't actually know. Will Robinson? But anyway, you can tell me about that. So we open episode 6 with essentially a recap, and I really at the beginning I thought this is just going to be a nice little recap because we obviously had that break last episode with the Weapon X stuff, and it's just the whole the whole like end bit for Magneto, which really sad. Um, Definitely watching it again made me think like, come on, Charles, you could have done something. Could have done something more. You could have gone into Apocalypse's head, make him stutter. I don't know. You could have used your power, and you could have done something, right? Turns out though, actually, this is not a recap, but in fact, him in the danger room in a therapy session, as he calls it, reliving Magneto's final moments from his memory. And he keeps going through it and through it and through it in dangers. Like he's like, repeat, repeat, repeat. Which to each their own. I don't know whether this was quite useful. Um, Feels like it was more torturous than anything else. But there we go. But the 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 thing that, because he kept doing it and it kept repeating like, you're a failure, you failed to learn the lesson, um, blah blah blah. And so it keeps going on about how he failed. So Danger, hearing that, she well, the Danger Room, good learner, good I guess good AI assistant in that way is like, well, you want to be stronger, you want to not fail, so I'm gonna up the ante. And when Apocalypse puts his foot on Charles' head in this danger room sequence, Apocalypse starts crushing Charles, and so Charles is like, whoa, 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 this is not what I wanted. I just wanted the therapy. Um, so. And so he's like, "Oh, shut it down, shut it down." And she's like, "Oh, sorry. I just, you want to be stronger, so I wanted to do that for you, but I will help train you and your X-Men, blah blah blah." Um, and so that's very much it. As Lou has rightly said, the way he kept his Egypt fit on to keep it authentic, crazy, crazy. Like I would take that off. I would, but like that's crazy. But that could easily go in like a museum or something. You think? Actual clothes from ancient Egypt that haven't been like lost lost to the degradation of time. Um, but the last thing he has, he holds on to Eric's helmet and he's like, "Oh, I don't know how I can survive without you," which is just so like so gay. Like I don't know how anyone can sit here and be like, yeah, they're just like best friends, because there's so much. Yeah, yeah. So basically Charles is just punishing himself, and you know what? Partly you're right, because you could have done more. You should have done more. He even says like, "Oh, if you'd have been the one here and I was captured by Apocalypse, you would have done something to prevent me from dying." And it's like, wow, Charles, you're just a flop, which is essentially what he's taken away. And what Danger has learned really is that Charles is a flop and he needs to be tested. Karen, you're saying Danger said, when someone tells you who they are, believe them. Exactly. Um, so that's the opening. Then we get Polaris flying through the night sky. And I just want to say I love the fact that they've decided for Polaris's powers to give her like this green magnetic aura thing. I think it's a really fun way to differentiate her and Magneto. Obviously, they have the same power set, but like you never see Magneto flying with a aura. So, you know, but where is she going? Well, she's going to see the Purifiers. And as soon as I saw those hoods, I was like, is that the Purifiers? And then William Stryker turned up, which was so funny. I was like, oh my God, that was a fun, I guess, little nod. Can anyone who has watched the original show more recently tell me whether William Stryker showed up um in the original series? Because I feel like that's something they would have adapted in some way, or was it just Graydon Creed and the Friends of Humanity and they didn't go to William Stryker? Was religious extremism too too much for the original show? Let me know. Oh my gosh, Karen. I didn't realize that. You're right. That is Carl Denty. Is that his name? The executioner. I didn't even clock that. Thank you for being a cat. This is why it's good that I do these breakdowns live, because then I'm not gonna catch everything. Um, so thank you, Karen. Thank you for pointing that out. I'm actually saying about Eric and Charles, they're just really good friends, like my uncle and his friend Terry. Yes, they live together, and he comes to all the family events, but they're just really good friends, like kiss sometimes. Exactly. They're just roommates, really. Um, he was never on the original, but they name dropped him earlier this season. Well, there you go. Karen MVP, exactly, exactly. But yes, and it is quite funny that I saw this on Twitter, that when Kevin Feige's name pops up, it's often with like someone pulling a face. Last episode it was Sabretooth pulling a face. This time it's William Stryker pulling a face. And like in the first episode it was Apocalypse's evil face. So like I don't know if that's the people doing the show trying to send a message that he's an evil man. I don't know. I don't know, maybe it's just a coincidence, but it's happened at least 3 times, which I find quite funny. Um So take from that what you will. Also, Stryker has really benefited from the X-Men movies. Yes, that's true. Um, very different character though in the movies, and obviously he gives birth to his son is Mastermind. Crazy, crazy things they were doing in X2. It's the best X-Men movie, but like crazy things they were doing there. Polaris is great. This season is doing more for a character than the comic will ever do. What comic is she in at the moment? Is she in a comic? I don't even remember. I mean, she was in X Factor, and that was. But I agree, James. I agree, and we'll get more to that as it comes. So it's the Purifiers, which is fun, and Polaris. She's got this like aurora around her again. Another real cool way to show power signature. They start firing on her, and being like, "Oh, this is for God," blah blah blah. Um, they're on a boat. I forgot. I didn't get a screenshot, but they're on a boat, and she's taken away the boat. And Val Cooper's like, "Oh, it's only supposed to be covert," blah blah blah. But Polaris, as we learn, is quite has got quite a high temper. She's quite she's quite easily agitated, I would say. She's not one to keep her cool. Not saying she should, but she doesn't. And so while she's taking away their boat and they're all just floating on, it was I had visions of Titanic. She instead decides to split their boat in half, and it's a giant like tanker, right? Uh, Split their boat in half, and she's gonna throw it at them. She's gonna throw it on top of them. I was gonna say Matthew Risman, but that's the Purifier from the new X-Men, Academy X, like Utopia days. That and that's another thing I'll get to when we get to her. But so she throws the halves of the boat, and um, the executioner is like ready to accept his fate. But Havoc and the other X Factor members are like, whoa! So he blasts them out the way, like complete flop. Like some people just are asking for it, and like to be fair, he was happy to accept oblivion. So we also get another glimpse of Strong Guy and Wolfsbane in their X Factor ship. I would say, and that was Wolfsbane talking. There was a bit where Wolfsbane's talking, but the accent was so. Um, I at first I thought it was Russian, and then I was like, oh no, it's Rain, isn't it? Of course, of course. So um, I guess I guess funny accents are part and parcel for this show, because I remember in the original, Moira's accent was all over the place. Maybe it was an alright accent. I just was like, she sounds a bit Russian to me. But yeah, so that was fun to see Wolfsbane. Then, um, oh, you think it was Jennifer Hale? Oh, maybe. She does loads. They all do. To be fair, a lot of these voice actors are doing double duty at times, aren't they? Um, then Polaris is in Val Cooper's office, and they're having a talk about everything that's happened. Somehow they've like all the TV, all the news channels are showing footage of Polaris like wrecking the boat, and it's like, how did they get this footage? Like, who portrayed Polaris and like put this out? Like, but they're discussing it. She has this cool moment where she's using her magnetic powers on the, I want to say abacus, but it's not. The ball, the magnetic ball thing, like that. What Magneto did in the first film. Um, and essentially they're talking like everyone's saying you're like becoming like a new terrorist, and Val Cooper's like, we don't need another magnetic, terrorist, blah 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 blah. And then they basically bring up that Polaris and Magneto are related, and that was what I was curious about. I was like, is there something they're gonna bring up? Is there something she knows? But clearly, it's not a secret. Everyone knows that they are related. But she stresses that she's got nothing to do with Magneto. They don't, and as she'll go later, she doesn't know him. They're just, I guess, blood related like that. And I think it's interesting because I'm sure in the original show, again, I'm not, um, I can't remember off the top of my head, but during the 90s, I know at least that Polaris was not Magneto's daughter, was not thought to be. Like in Age of Apocalypse, famously in the Fat Dex series, Dark Beast does a DNA test because she's gone crazy. She's like, "Ah, Magneto's my dad," and he does a DNA test and it says that they're not related. So at this point in time in continuity of the original show, she was not considered to be related to him. So I'm assuming the original show didn't delve into that. But here, everyone knows it now. So yeah. Essentially, though, Val Cooper, she literally says, "The president and I, thank you for your service, but you have been fired effective immediately, permanently." Like she's literally been fired permanently, which is crazy. Like no one died, and she just threatened a few people that were going to kill. Were obviously plotting to kill loads of mutants. So yeah, but she's been fired. So like losing the best character on X Factor, crazy. And I'll talk about it later. There's the shot of the X Factor team, and now they're like down a woman. There's only one. If you count Val Cooper, there's only two women on the team, and I'm like, "Ugh, we need to sort out this balance." Let me just catch up on some things. I just reread those new X-Men issues. I did think Reisman was going to be here. Same. And the thing is, though, I think about Reisman and Dust and their interactions in New X-Men. So maybe season 3, Purifiers versus the School, season 3. I have a vision. Um, got some Australian Wolverine going on over here. He was better hair, Polaris, so Crushing Crisis. I think Crisis has better hair. I do. I think it's just got a bit of a nicer curl to it. Like, don't get me wrong. I think Polaris's hair here is cool. It's very big. It has the essence of the 90s hair, but Crisis's hair is just way more detailed, and that's part and parcel with being a real person and not a fictional 3D animated drawing. But yeah, she comes a close second though. Very good. Um, so then we get to see Polaris in the locker room with Alex, who's showing off his abs. I keep calling Alex a flop, as I do in my reaction when I was watching. I was going flop, flop, um, but he is um, quite attractive looking. He's not bad to look at. I gotta say. There's also Wolfsbane is there as well. She's still in her Wolfsbane form, so I'm curious whether, right, the implications of that, because in 90s X Factor, Rain is she's in like that half wolf, half human form, because at that point she was still bonded to Havoc. So is the implication that that has happened here, or is she just doing it because she wants to be in Wolfsbane film? I mean, clearly it's obviously because she's more recognizable as a wolf than she is um, human. But what are the real continuity implications of that? I imagine Polaris' hair is very big because it's always very staticky. No, like when you rub a balloon on your hair, yeah. Surely that gets like annoying. So I wonder how in the comics, like when her hair's been straight, because her hair's been straight for so long now, like how does she keep it straight? Like much to think about. And when Siren joins X Factor, she's gonna have an accent off with Wolfsbane. Of course, that was the one thing. Like in the they did that roll call trailer, and she was in that. Crazy that she's gonna. It is insane to me that she's gonna be in X Factor and not in X Force when she was part of X Force in the 90s. But alas, that's X-Men 97 for you. But yeah, so Alex is like, I can't really help you. Like, you, you did this to yourself. She's like, well, I'd rather, hurt. I'd rather save mutants than save bureaucrats or whatever she says. But she knows she's got a place to go because the X Mansion has been rebuilt. Yay! Because of course all the X-Men are back in the present now. So who knows how long it's been since the end of episode 4. I'm assuming not too long, but they've got everything. I mean, Charles probably has unlimited money, right? So they got it up and running quick, which is always fun. And then we get to see our new class of people. The new class of Xavier's. I guess this is 1997, so really they would be Generation X. There will, well, the main Generation X people sat in the front. So in this first slide, we have going from left to right, we have iBoy in his Krakoan X Factor uniform, which is crazy. Like we've got like Krakoa symbolism, Krakoa logos exist in the X-Men 97 universe. Like, isn't that crazy? Then we have Chamber. Then we have my favorite, Monet, looking amazing. Then we have Sync. Then we have Quentin Quiet in a Magneto was right shirt. Then at the back we have Martha Johansson, aka No Girl Maybe, um, aka Cerebella, something like that. Then we have Shark Girl. Very interesting angle on Shark Girl's head, I must say. Then we have, I believe, Karen, you said this before. The person in between Dupe and Shark Girl is lower. I want to say that's lower, but it might. Well, we're gonna go off a limb there and say it's lower. Then we have Dupe. Why is Dupe here? Dupe is not a child. Dupe is a flying potato. Um, but sure. I'm curious about what's Dupe's. Dupe comes from the margins. Like how is he? Got many questions, but we're not going to get the answers today, and I don't know if we ever will get the answers. So I'm not going to question it, but I guess in this reality, Dupe has parents that maybe aren't dupes and they are mutants instead, or humans that gave birth to this flying green potato. Then we have Beak, who actually looks really good. Like yeah, I think Beak looks less ugly than what he did in the comics. So I guess that's a plus for Beak, Um, and then we have Dust. Soraya, love to see her. As I said, I'm hoping that if there is more purifiers, we get the Dust versus Matthew Risman face off in season 3, where she says Turab and rips everyone's face off. Agreed, Karen. I'm like, why isn't he a teacher? That's insane choice. But okay, if he's he's a bit younger in this universe. It is 1997. He didn't even exist in the comics yet, so maybe that's why. Then on this side we have Pixie. Yay, Wales! Woo! The girl that can turn into a Parrot. Don't know her name, unfortunately. We also have Glob, Wing, Skin, very fun. We have Rockslide in his Hellions, in his like Hellions outfit. We have someone else who I don't actually know, and there's probably a few more, but I didn't get a screenshot of the behind, and I should have done that. But I kind of wanted to say that that hmm, was it Radian? Someone from Grant Morrison, the from the Omega Gang. But yeah, so that's basically this is the new class of Xavier's. So at this point, I guess Jubilee has graduated. Finally, they've got a class because obviously in the original it was literally just Jubilee as the only um sort of non-adult. So that's fun. Then we have a look at the sort of student, not the student body, the staff. So we see obviously Storm, Forge, Jean, Cyclops, Morph, and Beast. I wonder where Wolverine is. I guess he's gone to sulk over his choices. I'd a guess. But at this point, I was like, I recognize. I mean, even before this whole the staging, the massive X behind it. I was just, I was like, oh, I know exactly where this is from. So one second, when I get this up, oh, boom. It is as might be familiar, is from the first issue of Astonishing X-Men, where Emma Frost as the acting headmaster of the school, sort of announces the new whole thing, which was fun to see. I was half expecting, because obviously Polaris will turn up in a minute. I half expected her to be the one that interrupts everything, very Kitty Pryde style. But we didn't get that, as will become quite apparent. Emma is not in this episode at all, and they continue to adapt Emma moments and stories without her. I remember a few breakdowns ago we talked about how I felt a bit like someone has it out for Emma. This just continues to make me think that. So yeah, but like this reference, uh, it would have been fun if Emma was here and Kitty had that whole. Sorry, Miss Frost, I was busy remembering to put on all my clothes. That fun. But there we go. So that was fun to see. Let me go read through some comics because I've been too busy talking. I'm surprised you didn't see any New Mutants characters. Yeah, I mean, we know Cannonball exists in this universe, right? So, Karen, I think you said Cannonball is like we didn't get. Well, Wolfsbane, I suppose maybe it's because the New Mutants are already too old now. If Wolfsbane's part of X Factor and Cannonball, I don't think, and like Sunspot is already an adult as well, I suppose maybe they think we've aged past them. Um, there is DAP. Oh my God. Connected to that, and that's connected to Polaris, to be fair. So, oh, Peter Milligan, X-Men. Don't stigmatize adults seeking education. Dupe is simply trying to broaden his mind. He might be a lawyer one day, or a mime. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm not trying to stigmatize. I'm just like, oh, I didn't expect him to be a student. He's very much the teacher. That's what I see him as, a teacher, an educator. That's what I think of when I think of Dupe, educating the children. They could do a whole spin-off series with this class of students, 100%. When are we going to get Generation X 97? When are we going to get? Or let's move it a year. Generation X 98. I, I'd be sat. Or even they could even call it Generation X-Men. For branding reasons. I'd kind of hate that, but like I'll accept it. They need at least an episode just for the students. Do a New Mutant Sleeper adaptation. Yes. Oh, if they had Brew, I would have absolutely lost my flipping mind. Hell, thrown the Outliers. Sure, we can do that. Kate Pride, where are you? Bring us Brew. Yeah, but animated Sam and Paige have brown hair. Oh, well, there we go. Um, So that was that thing, and then and then we get the announcement that Storm has been appointed as the new headmistress of the school. Very exciting. Again, stealing Emma's roles, I suppose. But you know what? I don't mind it. I kind of would have preferred, though. This is me personally. I would have preferred if she was on the was was like still part of the field team, and Jean was the headmistress, because obviously in the new X-Men period, Charles was going to appoint her as she was the acting headmistress when Charles wasn't there, and then just before the end of the series, Charles was like, "Well, I'm gonna go on break after this, so you can be headmistress." And then Jean was going to take over, but obviously Jean, so that never happened. So I kind of wish it was Jean instead of Storm, and then Storm be the field leader still and be involved more in the fights. But that's not what we're getting. So yeah, but it's nice to see, Storm with her long flowing hair. Thank God that mohawk is gone. Thank God. Um, but then Charles uses the danger room, um, and scares the students with the sentinels breaking in and about to attack them, which is obviously another Emma Frost reference. He loves reheating. Um, he loves reheating Emma's nachos, clearly. Because this is a one-to-one straight adaptation. I kind of wish we'd had the staff also attack. That's always a fun part. Um, so yeah, but what a crazy adaptation, and again another Emma moment that's just not there. But alas, wait, what was the next one? Oh, not there. Spoilers. So yeah, there's that. Okay, so that scares the thing, and also I do remember obviously Angel Salvador's there, and I believe Boom Boom is there as well. I thought Boom Boom had died on Genosha, but clearly not, because you see her in the shot with the danger room, and so like as from the danger room's point of view, whatever. Anyway, Polaris then comes to the mansion. She's like, "Hello, hello, hello." No one's there, and then she walks into this one room, and it's got the photos of her and Jean and Storm, which I love. That photo is really cool. And then a photo of her and Iceman. Again, where is Iceman? Where is Iceman? This is insane. How are we gonna have 4 out of the 5 original X-Men in this series and no Iceman? Anyway, but she's greeted by Jean, Scott, and Hank, which I thought was nice that it was the 3 original X-Men that are still on the team coming to greet her. I thought that was a nice touch. They all hug it out, which is fun. Oh, speaking of Tabby, by the way, I don't know if anyone knows, because I don't know if anyone else plays Marvel Rivals, but with Jubilee, right? With Jubilee in Marvel Rivals, one of her voice lines when she's throwing, because she's got this like, she throws like these fireworky balls that get bigger and bigger and then they explode. Um, she literally says at one point, "Tick tick boom," and I'm like, that's literally you're literally stealing, you're literally taking Boom Boom's like stuff, and it's not even like I'm a big like Boom Boom. I'm not like Boom Boom Defender #1, but I'm just like, whoa, whoa, she really just took everything Boom Boom had and she's got nothing. Anyway, that's completely off topic. I just thought you should all know that. So yeah, they're all hugging. Oh, we're talking about Onslaught here. Oh my gosh, let me go back. Calling it now, they will mix Onslaught and Grant Morrison, where Charles messes with Beast in kisses. Oh, as in like when Cassandra made like Beast progress. I see that. Okay. We haven't seen Zorn in the show yet, right? They'll do the Zorn Maggie thing later. I like Zorn. I would die if they had Zorn. Ooh, okay. I mean, all I'm gonna say, I think in the next episode, I've seen something somewhere about them seeing a familiar face. Like the next episode involves them, I think involves the Savage Land because it's called the Strange Land Savage Heart. And I think I saw something somewhere about them seeing someone, a familiar face. And I wonder, maybe they wouldn't do Zorn. Maybe they'll do Joseph. Maybe they do Joseph instead of Zorn. I feel like Joseph is a bit more. Well, I don't know. I feel like Zorn and Joseph could fill the same role, but we already did the whole Jean and Maddie thing in season 1. Would they go 2 for 2 and do a Joseph Magneto thing? But that's what I think. I think there might be a way of them merging the two. I mean, they love a good merge, don't they? But yeah, I'm wondering whether they might do Joseph. Obviously, Joseph is a 90s character, was around for the Onslaught stuff. So, well, he turned up just in time for the Onslaught stuff. And hey, then the show can have a bit more drama with Rogue and Gambit, you know. So yeah, I would go to War for Boom Boom, like a storage war or something. I think DeMeo hated Iceman for some reason. Maybe. I mean, I just think it's crazy that he's not shown up, like, at all. Like, this is the one, like, that image is the one reference to Iceman. Feels kind of, and you think that'd be crazy because as a gay man, DeMeo, you think he would, want to support other gay characters being shown, but no, I guess not. Zorn is Joseph. Yeah, I think that's what they might do. They'll probably call the episode something like Zorn and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. Wow, imagine. That would be funny, wouldn't it? I'd actually appreciate. I would like hats off. So we're all talking. Jean is like, you should go talk to Professor X. The other thing I made a note of, but I've already disproven it, is that Polaris has this bracelet, and I saw someone say, "Oh my gosh, is this Malice's bracelet?" I was like, "Oh my god, okay, maybe it is Malice's bracelet." Like obviously Malice has a choker, but sometimes the choker is a bit obvious. So then I was like, "Oh, maybe it's a reference to that." But and then I was like, "Of course." So Malice. Oh no, we've gone too far. Wrong one. Malice, of course, is this. Well, she turns out she is a mutant. Her name's Alice McAllister, but she was originally just like a psychic entity that existed in this choker that would like possess you if you wore it. Um, so yeah, and Polaris spent most of the 80s, well, maybe not mostly, a significant most of Claremont's run, like the only thing she really ever did in Claremont's run was get possessed and then become Malice, and that was a big thing for like from like issue 220 to 250-ish. So like that was quite a stretch. And so I wondered whether that might be a hint of that. Maybe that would and like obviously Polaris was wearing like she's wearing like a leatherish belt and stuff like that. And I wondered, oh, is this like her being in a like dark side, like, and maybe that's why she's been a bit more impulsive because she's secretly been possessed by Malice. But no, Karen, you've got it right there. Let me just go find it. It is actually the classic skull from her original outfit, if you see there on her chest, which I think is a fun nod. I would kind of like to see Polaris back in that outfit, or better yet, let's put her in. I don't know. Actually, I'm trying to think of the Polaris outfits and maybe the modern version. Maybe the modern version, like the one that like whenever I think of Polaris in this outfit, I think of Pepe Larraz drawing her in X of Swords. But yes, so I got a bit like, oh, is this Malice? But it's not. So moving on, she goes and talks to Charles. They have a bit of tea. This kind of made me, even though I know this isn't a reference, but this like moment made me think of when Emma has tea with Tony during Civil War, and she's like, "Where were you where our babies were burning?" I don't know, it just had that vibe to it, uh, just because they were having tea in the expansion grounds. But they're talking about things. That we see a shot of Morph with a bunch of the students. He becomes Mr. Fantastic, and they start jump roping. It's funny. It's kind of funny how like Polaris is like, ah, caring about these kids when 2 weeks ago she was locking them up. But she does say like, I thought I was doing the right thing because I thought, well, there's nowhere for them to go, so it's better this way to keep them off the streets. But like, girl, you were just jailing them. Crazy. Anyway, then literally she mentions like, oh, I've heard about Magneto, so she knows that her dad is dead. Um, and then she says like, oh, I know he is technically my father, but you are more of my father because you raised me, la la la. And she's like, I don't really know I don't know my father at all. And he's like, well, I know my father. I know your father. And you know, when I thought I had a piece of him in me, I thought I had a piece of him in me, but I can't find it since he died. So again, leaning more credence to the fact that I think Onslaught is coming because he literally says in this episode, there was a piece of Eric within me and I've lost it or whatever. Like, if that's not like the biggest, we're getting hit over the head with a hammer about Onslaught. So like, um, yeah, getting hit over the head, crazy with the Onslaught stuff. That's coming. And oh my gosh, thank you so much for the super chat. Side note, I like Emma with Tony Stark. She has expensive taste. Yeah, you know what? I was originally, I was not a fan of Emma and Tony, but Joey Duggan convinced me of their relationship to a degree, and I like them more as like fun. We'll have a bit of fun every now and then, but not like serious, you know. But I ended up liking it. But again, thank you so much for the super chat. Wow. Let me go back to some things. I want a Marvel Legends on this look. The Magneto War version was very cool. We'll get to that in a bit. Polaris having tea with her stepfather, essentially. Speaking of, I just got the new Onslaught Marvel Legends, so I'm more invested in that theory. Again, I feel like Onslaught is just inevitable. So that's exciting. But yes. So they have that discussion. And also, I think it's really interesting, and I said this in my reaction. I think this might be like one of the best like distillations of Polaris's personality. Because one thing when I think about Polaris, I think of the 2020 X Factor series by Leah Williams, and in that, her and Magneto have a conversation, and she's like, "Do you even know what my personality is?" And he's like, "No." And I think, and I remember Leah Williams saying like that was more of a comment on the fact that she's been written in so many different ways, and I feel like this sort of gets at that, but like also finds a way to give her some proper characterization that felt right. Anyway, then, and I didn't get a screenshot of this, but then Charles, Jean, Scott, and Beast all go to Genosha. And I thought, well, I don't remember saying, I don't think I said this in my reaction, but I thought, oh my gosh, is this like, are we going to have some sort of reference to, please tell me it's here. Oh, I don't know where it is. We're gonna go back and spoilers. Spoilers. I thought it might be a reference to New X-Men 132, the issue where they find Polaris on Genosha, and she's like, "Daddy, Daddy." That sort of doesn't happen, but there are some references to it, I think. So yeah, they go to Genosha. So Polaris is left with Storm and Forge, and they're having a nice catch up because obviously Forge was in the was in X Factor as well for a time, and then he left and is now part of the X-Men. But then Morph comes over, and can I just say, Morph in that like just casual outfit. I like that outfit on Morph. Like that was okay, some fashion. Morph is like, oh my gosh, come to the danger. There's some danger in the danger room, and we get to the danger room, and Wing is passed out on the ground. He's, I guess his heart has stopped because Bishop is giving him CPR. Um, and then Storm charges up Bishop so he can become a defibrillator, and he saves Wing's life, which is all well and good. Um, and obviously, this is leading to, and I knew this. I knew as soon as I saw that shot in the trailer where Wing is on the stretcher. It's Polaris and Bishop. I was like, well, obviously this is going to be the dangerous stuff, isn't it? Because why else would Wing be there? But and one thing I'll say, I'm okay that Wing didn't die, but like I feel like, and we'll get to this more as we go along, but I feel like Danger just needed to be a little bit more bloodthirsty. I don't know, maybe that's just me. I felt like she was she could have been a bit more angry, maybe. Because, well, let's go back through some history. Um, Oh, nope. There we go. Yes, back through some history. So, in the Astonishing X-Men series, in the second arc, which is titled Dangerous, after Wing has been depowered, he is then convinced by Armor, who is actually the Danger Room in disguise. He is convinced by Danger to jump off a cliff and kill himself. And he does that. As we can see here, this is his body, and so this is obviously directly referencing that. And so Polaris has taken Kitty's role in this story, which I guess works. Gosh, Emma and Kitty get nothing in this show. But yeah, so in the comic, Wing just is straight up dead. You think, Karen, that they lied and that Wing did die? Interesting. But yeah. So obviously, in that he died. In this, he survives, which is fine, I guess. Then what the Danger Room does is lock them all inside, so there's no doors, and then starts summoning the robots, which you see in the opening credits of Cyclops and Storm fighting them, fighting these like training robots. But here they have obviously Polaris and Bishop, and I think Polaris and Bishop is like a really interesting combo that I don't know has ever been a thing. Like, I'm trying to think, and I'm like, I don't know if they've ever been on a team explicitly together. Like, I don't know if anyone else can argue otherwise, but I'm trying to think, and I'm like, well, he came in '91, and she was on X Factor. Um, I guess the closest they've ever been to being together that I can think of is during the 12, because they're both members of the 12. Um, but I can't think otherwise. Prisoner X in Age of X-Men, of course. Okay. I like, yeah, they barely have much time together. So I thought that was an interesting pairing, and I thought this shot of Polaris doing the spin move was quite cool. Oh, wrong thing, wrong page. And so what happens though is that Storm, Forge, and Morph are taken outside because there's apparently an alert that something's going on outside. And because I obviously I knew this was referenced in Astonishing X-Men, I went back after I watched the episode. I went back and read this, so we'd have stuff to talk about this evening. And well, something I had forgotten was that there is actually in the comic the rest of the team the rest of the team other than Kitty are summoned outside, but because there's an actual sentinel that comes to life that Danger reanimates and starts attacking him, and so Cyclops has to unleash his like full object blastness to destroy it. And I'm like, I get the whole like we need to solidify that it's Danger doing this. But I'm like, wouldn't it have been cool to see like Forge and Morph and Storm like take on a Sentinel? Like Storm just unleash like on a Sentinel. We could have had that. But no, so in this they go outside and like, oh no, there isn't actually one, it's all Danger. Um and what do people say? In order for Danger to be angry, they need to reveal Xavier enslaved her. Yeah, that's true. But I kind of wish that was part of it. I don't know why. I like, well, Xavier's a flop. We could have had more of that. But yes. So then it's Bishop and Polaris and these four students with Wing. So we have Chamber, Quentin, Sync, and Monet, who is in her penance form. And I will say this is the one thing I really wish we got, and it doesn't even happen in the comic. So this is more just a me thing of like, I want to see more of these characters. Is that I wish we'd have actually seen them engage in some way. I know they're like brand new, they've literally just joined the school, they're not gonna have any training whatsoever, but I kind of wish we got to see like something. I wish we got to see Penance slash someone up. I wish Quentin, like, I don't know, did something. I wish Chamber exploded a bit, you know. But we do get to see sync with Polaris's powers and to continue holding up Wing on the thing, and even it does his power signature perfectly, which I loved. That was a great little touch. So yeah, that's that. And then they're fighting Danger, and then Danger like antagonizes Polaris by being like, "You're destined to repeat the sins of the father. You're gonna be just as bad as Magneto." So she gets so full of rage that she explodes with energy to like disrupt everything. And they also go to the Bishop's future. Danger in this universe, Danger has access to Cerebro, so she can read your mind and like take your memories and replicate them. So they're in Bishop's future for a second and they're fighting Prime Sentinels. But Polaris like explodes with magnetic energy, disrupts the whole thing. But that gives Danger enough energy to give herself her own form, which is, I think, a very good adaptation. Very good adaptation. As we see here, I mean, she could have been a darker blue, but like that's just nitpicking. So Danger comes to life, and I think as well the voice acting for Danger was quite good. She was really like she was really sassy and messy. Like, just loved to read them all, which I loved. Um, but yeah, so that was fun to see her come to life, and then she completely dominates Bishop and Polaris. Like literally beats um Polaris unconscious, which just crazy. But yeah, she is. I mean, obviously she's trained on all the X-Men, so not really a surprise. God, I really want Emplate in the future. Wouldn't Emplate be fun? Be fun. We need like we just need a Generation X series. You could call it New Mutants, you could call it Generation. I think Generation X-Men. That kind of what I feel like I would take that. I would take that. But Generation X, we need a show. We need a show with all these youngsters. You can't just introduce them and not do anything with them, you know? So that was happening there. But meanwhile, oh, I forgot to get a photo of new X. Oh, I forgot to get a photo of new X-Men 114. Oh, we all know what the covers look like. Anyway, we know what these outfits look like, and they are. I have to say they are well done. Cyclops, Beast. I can't believe they adapted Beast like so perfectly, but it's odd because he's not Cat Beast, so there is a bit of a distance there. But like, very well done. Again, I said this before. I can't remember where I when I said this before, but like I wish Jean didn't have the yellow, but did have the trench coat instead, because that's what I think of when I think of Jean in New X-Men. I think of her with the trench coat. I think that would have been a fun way to just differentiate the through like her a bit more from the others. But either way, still like they're really accurate, way better than the Dark Phoenix designs. They were the worst. So they're on Genosha, um, and Charles is talking to the head of Magneto's statue that fell. Um, so you know that I feel like there's some symbolism there because obviously he got his head blown off. Well, no, he got blown up, and all that was left was his helmet. And there's something there, but they're talking there, and then they get alerted that danger is on the way, and she's flying in this jet. And what we learn as well is that Storm and Forge can't go and attack them because Valerie Cooper has outlawed the X-Men. The X-Men aren't allowed to exist, right? Which is crazy. Which is crazy, like that we've had that's just the thing that exists. So, but because Polaris hasn't officially joined the X-Men, and Bishop, I guess, can do what he wants because he's a time traveler, they're like, okay, well, we'll have to go. But so that is the one thing also that worried me about Storm becoming headmistress is that she's now like benched in that way of like she can't be involved in the fights because she's now headmistress and Valerie Cooper has outlawed the X-Men. Even though when has that ever stopped people from when has that ever stopped the X-Men just because they're outlawed? Like, okay. But yes. So Danger's on her way, and I'm just gonna look at the comments as well. Danger is trending in this show and in video games. Yes, of course, in like 2 weeks, Marvel Token, the fighting game comes out, and Danger is one of the 4 X-Men in that game. Exciting, exciting. She's a bit more younger looking in the game, but I'm excited to play as her. I saw that obviously the Punk Storm outfit is one of the alternate outfits, so I'm kind of tempted to buy the like Ultimate Edition. I wasn't originally, but having seen it and the fact that they changed the voice lines for like Storm has different voice lines because in the Mohawk thing, she's more like just aggressive and like direct to the point, and less like I summon the heavens and more like I'm gonna take you down. I'm like, oh, they're kind of pulling me in, but we'll see. Um, oh my God, Max, you've pre-ordered the Ultimate Edition. Oh my gosh, yeah, I really want to, and I'm like, oh, but let's. I love a fighting game. I'm a big fighting game person. Um, like Mortal Kombat. Imagine like a Injustice game that was just X-Men. Like that has been my biggest like hope. Anyway, we're getting off topic, but yes, Danger is one of the 4 X-Men. What if they call it Gen Z-Men to appeal to the youth? Z-Men sounds appetizing to me. Well, as a Gen Z person myself, that doesn't. I'm not on your vibe, Max. Don't feel that at all. Anyway, so Danger is flying her way over to get Charles, and she jumped out the plane. Now this here, please tell me I got. Oh no, I didn't get it. Oh damn, I didn't get a screenshot of it. But I promise you, that's actually a reference. That's actually a wait. I can do this. I can do this. Wait, bear with me. I'm gonna go to history. I'm gonna find the issue. I swear it will be episode 10. Issue 10 even. We'll do 7. Bear with me, bear with me. I want to say, maybe it's 10. I'm going to say 10. Read. Let me read this. Just because it was such a good moment and I was like, oh, I was gagged realizing they adapted this. Anyway. Okay, yes, you're fighting, you're fighting, you're fighting, you're flying, you're flying. La 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 la. Oh my gosh. Okay, maybe it wasn't this issue. Maybe. Oh, it was the next one. Oh, we're almost there. Talks amongst yourselves. Oh my gosh. Okay, I have a question for everyone while you sat waiting. If you were a teacher at Xavier's, what would you teach? Aha, here we go. Oh, that's such a wait, okay, interior cover. Got it. Bing bosh. I have the cover. Recent. Okay. Oh no, where'd it go? There you are. I've lost it. I'm back. Gonna add it here. Add files. Downloads. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, there it is. Oh, did I add it on the wrong? Oh no, I added it the right bit. Thank gosh. Okay. So, boom. If you see here, she jumps out the plane, and I just thought that was a really fun reference. I mean, that was probably not worth all the thing, but I was like, oh my god, they're like adapting it. This is really like a page for page adaptation. And you are right, Kwame Taylor. The prism scene is from the comic too. I was gonna get to that, but you beat me to it. Well done. And we're spoiling the rest of that, but we'll get there. Yes, so there's the bit here where she uses the prism, and she'll use that on Cyclops in a minute. But so she jumps down, and then we get to see. Oh, actually, before I carry on, I'll respond to what you said. Oh, it was a semen joke. Oh, the company that makes Marvel Tolkien did Fighter Z before this, and he had loads of DLC characters. I imagine Tolkien will have loads to bring on Nanny. Oh my god. Nanny outside the Avengers, let's not forget. Art history. Okay, Karen, I see that for you. I see that for you. Probably you should be no, Karen, you should be teaching your own art to people. That's real history there. um, Probably history. Okay, James. I would teach puns and quips to say during fights. That was very dupe coded. And no, don't worry. It's all good. It wasn't really. I was just joking. There isn't really much spoiling. We all know. We've all seen the episode. I'm assuming, so it's not like um, we're really spoiling anything. So it's okay. But yes. So they have this cool mutant circuit, if you will, where Jean uses Wolverine's claws telekinetically to refract Cyclops' power beam, but Danger is just too smart. And so she uses the prism thing to refract Cyclops' beam, as she did here. Like, that was so cool. So cool. So cool. She also, I didn't get a screenshot of it because it happened so quickly, but she does take out Beast. Like at least Jean's got put up a bit of a fight, but like Beast is like gone in a second, and that is so like flop coded. How is that dupe coded? Dupe can't even speak English. He's fluent in body language. Yeah, but I just feel like that's something Dupe would teach, right? It's just something Dupe would teach. It just has that energy. Then Charles, then because of Danger is after Charles, and he like has this weird like eject from his chair, which is cool, and he's like lying down, and then he like to get her off him, he uses the jet she used and like flies it into her, and like she explodes in the distance, which itself is a reference to Charles driving a truck into danger. And I now I gotta say, I think Charles being the one to like drive the truck, run into danger is cooler, but kind of as you just said, there weren't any trucks around. So yeah, I guess that's how it will be. But it was a fun little nod. I think it would have been cooler if he was the one driving, but alas, um, that's that. But of course, danger doesn't stop there. But Polaris and Bishop come to the rescue. Polaris ties Danger up. But of course, Danger is not going to be easily defeated by magnetism. And she even says, this is where she comments on their like similarities, that we're both like beholden to our creators. Um, and she like so I think that's an interesting parallel of like Polaris is haunted by the fact that Magneto is her father and not understanding him, and Danger is in some ways haunted by her creator and being this like thing to train the X-Men. And by this point, she keeps going on about Danger keeps going on about survival of the fittest, survival of the fittest. So she's clearly like she's on that apocalypse train. Choo choo. Um, she's like, yeah, okay, if you're gonna beat apocalypse, you need to be stronger. And so that's really her whole thing, is that she's trying to train everyone to be strong enough to beat apocalypse, right? It's not the whole enslavement thing, which I think is, I mean, it's sadder, but I think it's slightly cooler. And I like in the screenshots, in the shots, the pages I've got here. Ooh, wrong thing. In the pages I've got here, there are things where Danger's like, I want to beat you all to death and things like that, and she just isn't that violent. Isn't as violent in this, which is like slightly disappointing. But that's me nitpicking, really. Um, so yeah, interesting parallel there between Danger and Polaris. Um, Then what Jean does to be different, she calls on her bestie Storm, as she once said, "Whether your mind your weather," and she creates a telekinetic tornado, which was very cool to see, to be fair. And she basically rips Danger apart in the um in the uh in the thing. Like she gets ripped apart and Polaris starts chucking stuff at her. But is Danger going to be that easily defeated? No, of course not, because she's an AI, so she rebuilds her body and she starts charging herself up. Um, I will say here, this was another thing, because uh, in the opening credits, we saw the Sentinel, the Wild Sentinel tri-head thing. I had assumed, much like in the comic, Danger then possesses the giant Wild Sentinel on Genosha and like tries to kill them all like that. Now, again, that would have been super cool, super cool. But then I thought about how that sort of is impossible, because obviously Gambit blew up the Sentinel like in the episode, so I guess it doesn't technically exist anymore. And there's also no Kitty Pryde to like phase them all out of the way of the beam. But that would have been so cool, and I thought that was what they were hinting at, because we saw the Tri-Sentinel head in the beginning, and I'm just like, but okay, I guess in the constraints of the episode, we didn't get that. And I guess they didn't really establish that Danger could take over other things. I think maybe they want to. I don't know whether Danger is dead for good. Maybe they're keeping that a secret, but I feel like if she'd been established to be able to like transfer consciousness, then maybe it would have been a bit more like, ooh, maybe she's not dead. But anyway, we don't get that, which is okay. So they're like, how are we going to defeat her? How are we going to defeat her? And Charles is like, you can defeat her, Polaris. You've got to use your power. You've got to be like your father. And she's like, I don't know my father. And he's like, well, I did know your father, so I'm going to share him with you. And so they hold hands, um, and he like we get to see flashes of different moments from of Eric. There's the bit where he's like, I am trying to be better. The bits where he's angry, the bits where he's throwing the train in Genosha. And even the bit where he goes, "Do not be afraid" in German, which always makes me emotional. Um, and Lorna feels it all for the first time, really, and she gets emotional and she unleashes her full power and she pulls her famous pose and gets overwhelmed by the green. The green is intense and explodes everywhere and absolutely and like Danger's like I can't remember. Does she say like strong? You're finally strong, and then she explodes and dies. I will say I didn't get a photo, a screenshot of it either, but I did like as well that once she'd like upgraded again, she had got the butterfly wings, and she did do that in the comics. So I thought again, this episode was full of like proper one-to-one direct adaptation references, which I thought was super cool. But yeah, so she explodes. But yes, Karen, you've um you've hit the nail on the head. As I sort of spoke earlier, she does this exact thing, and I only realized this earlier, but she does this exact thing, exact pose where she's like, Daddy on Genosha, because this is when Grant Morrison retcons that they are actually related, and so she's like, because she's so sad that he's dead, she like has a sort of a breakdown, but uses her power and explodes it. And yeah, we sort of have this whole thing here where she's like exploding with energy. So there are definitely some references to New X-Men 132. Um, would have been interesting to see Quicksilver and Scarlet. Well, Quicksilver is in this issue, Scarlet Witch is not, but it would have been interesting to see him in this issue as well. But yeah, I thought that was a neat reference. I also kind of thought that this was low-key a reference to this initial cover as well. Like I feel like it was all sort of combined into one. But yeah, I thought that was really, really fun. How are they going to train the students now? Well, that is quite interesting, isn't it? Because like I don't know. Do they go back to like, well, even though danger was there, they still had like the rudimentary like spinning saws and robots. So maybe that's just what it will be. I don't know. Maybe she's not dead. Maybe maybe But yeah, no. So I originally, when watching the episode, I thought it was a reference to this. And reading back through, I was like, oh, of course, it's a reference to her going like that. And obviously it's related because she's thinking about her father when she does it. Oh, sometimes the writing is good. Sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, you know what you're talking about. I really hope we don't lose this level of like reference and amalgamation and like putting things all together. I really hope we don't lose this for season 3. That's my fear, but hopefully we won't. Um, and Carmen Taylor, you said I prefer this episode over to last week because this is more comic callbacks. Yes, I mean last week had some comic callbacks like the Brood stuff, um, and things like that. But yeah, this one was more like and more stuff that I know, more stuff that I know. As I said last week, Weapon X, 90s Weapon X, Garrison Kane, Maverick, things like that. I don't. It's not really my wheelhouse. Maybe I'll get to it someday when I get all the Wolverine omnibuses, if I have any more space, and I don't know if I will. Um, but yeah, maybe. But yeah, so this week I obviously enjoyed it much more as well because but it's also partly because I just knew. I think Astonishing X-Men is just more ingrained in my head than Weapon X stuff. But yes, so Danger is obliterated, and then oh no, is it not here either? Gosh, I added it. I'm pretty sure. Oh dear. Oh dear. 2 seconds, everyone. Well, at this point, Professor X is doing a press conference with everyone on Genosha. Here it is. Right. on Genosha, which, okay, sure. Um, if that's what he wants to do, right? I'm just gonna. So he's telling about how, obviously the X-Men are now outlawed because of Val Cooper. Um, this Val Cooper's like, you know what? No more X-Men. So instead, and I kind of like this, like the purpose of X-Corp. So essentially, X-Corp the is the new answer to um, the X-Men, but they're based in Genosha, so they're not in America. So Valen Cooper and X Factor don't have any jurisdiction. So essentially, X Corp is just X-Men rebranded, right? And I thought this was a fun like callback to the very first page of X-Men, New X-Men issue 128, which is where X Corp is established, and Charles sort of opens it up there. He doesn't say, I don't think he says the same because he goes, "Hi, I'm Charles Xavier and I'm a mutant," but obviously same vibes there. Gosh, full of callbacks this episode and references, and then we see like the X-Corp building. I do think it's kind of crazy though that X-Corp is on Genosha. You're building X-Corp on Genosha. That's crazy. Um, so yeah, I mean, I would have. I mean, maybe we'll see that they've built some more like worldwide. That's part of something I really like the whole like X-Corp in Paris, X-Corp in Mumbai, X-Corp in Hong Kong, and we got to see a bunch of other X-Men characters. Of course, I don't know if we will get any more like characters established as members of X-Corp because half of those characters are children. Sort of, you think like Monet, or they're on X Factor. Monet, Madrox, Siren, they were all members of X Corp Paris. I mean, uh, and Mumbai had like Thorn and Feral and Thunderbird and Sunfire. Um, so maybe we'll see. But yeah, it's very interesting that they built X Corp on Genosha. That's quite crazy to me personally. Um, then we get Val Cooper being like, I don't like the way they've done this. They've like gone through the loopholes, blah blah blah. And she's like basically threatening that they will figure out a way to shut them down, etc. And as I said earlier, it's kind of funny because Polaris isn't there. The number of women has gone down. Oh, so I guess Siren is the replacement. But yeah, it is. It still makes me laugh that they've actually got Val Cooper in the outfit, which I think is fun. But yeah, X Factor is such a flop team. Like in comparison, X Factor is so flop. Oh, come on, guys, sort it out. But yeah, um, and then we get them all in the X Corp tower. And we see Charles in his new outfit. He's got the same X-Men jacket, but his is all in grey, and he's in his new wheelchair, which I think is so much low key. Like I know a hover chair is cool, and in real life I'd love a hover chair, but like I think design wise, I think the new X-Men chair is just a bit cooler. It's like slightly more realistic, but also slightly weird, and I think that's cool. Also, let me just look at the comments. See, I referred the previous episode to this one because there was a more straightforward story, and this was trying to cram in so much stuff that it felt like speedrunning through several arcs. True, and I think true. It's true. I wish we could slow down. Like, give us 15 episodes a season. Let's like the whole Danger thing could have been at least 2 episodes. Like, I don't know. I'm conflicted because I'm enjoying it as it is, but I'm like, we are getting through things like at a pace. You know, like I think they have at least plans for 5 seasons. Like, how are we gonna end? Like, crazy. Yeah, I do see that, Max. Um, Val Cooper is acting all high and mighty, given she was working with Bastion and Genosha murder. Yeah, right. And she witnessed all of Genosha, and now she's acting like this, like crazy. I know how they've shut them down. Yeah. Well, Obviously because Banshee's dead. Oh, Banshee's dead as well. Let's not forget we saw him get vaporized with Marrow. Quiet Council ass table. It was, wasn't it? But I mean, I guess this show loves to have their own Quiet Council because remember in season one, the Genosha Council was essentially that as well, which is fun. And you got the funk of this, like, oh, I do want the funk of this as well. Like, I don't, I'm not a big Charles fan, but like, the, I would get the funk of this look. We also see obviously Gene again, and Nightcrawler in his sort of early 2000s X-Men outfit, which is crazy. This is essentially the Joe Casey, Chuck Austin outfit. What I actually think his look is kind of the coolest. Like it's just the most different. It's even got the bishop collar. I don't know if is he actually a priest in this in this universe? I know he was with monks in the original show. But yeah, I think his is actually the coolest. Um, and so they're all around this table. How many chairs is there? Actually, speaking of the Quiet Council, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, there's more than 12. But essentially, Charles is like, I can sense something about Apocalypse, and he is the big threat we need to deal with. Obviously, there's also Rogue here. She's in like a tank top-ish version of the like grey sweater, which is fine. Grey sweater. Why did I say sweater? I'm British. Grey jumper. Um, but I wish, and I wish the same for Storm as well. I mean, I know Storm wore the the X-Corp outfit once in that one issue of Extreme, but I wish Storm and Rogue were in their Extreme outfits. At least Storm, anyway. I mean, the red for maybe season 3 when Gambit comes back. Storm in that red, and not Storm, Rogue in that red outfit with the sunglasses. Um, but I would love Storm in her Extreme X-Men outfit with the braids as well. That'd be so good. Alas, not yet, but maybe. And that's when we go to Athens, and of course, the the Watcher is watching, which means that this is important and whatnot. The last time we saw the Watcher, it was um it was Genosha about to be obliterated. Um so yeah, and then to no one's surprise, I don't know, unless you're like a really casual viewer and you don't know anything about the X-Men. I feel like we all knew that this was coming at the end of season 1. But Gambit, he has got Gambit's body and Apocalypse is about to resurrect him. We get this really cool sequence though, where there's like a bunch of cards and they transform into tarot cards instead of playing cards, and it comes up with these three on the screen. Now, I don't know tarot. I like X of Ten of Swords. The only bit, yeah, the only tarot I know is from Ten of Swords. So what I know from this, death does not necessarily mean death, but can also mean change. The Tower, I don't know. And the Lovers, I think that is generally a bad card. I think that's generally a bad thing to get because it often means that the lovers are going to be separated or something like that. If anyone has any more tarot knowledge than me, let me know. But I seem to remember because Apocalypse got. Oh no, actually, I guess in the end they did get back together. But I was gonna say Apocalypse got the lovers card, and then it was sort of seen as a bad thing. But like I remember Death being like the Death card being like, no, it's not. It doesn't mean death. It just means change, and that's the card Storm got. So I think there's something to it there. And then weirdly enough, all these cards like, where did these cards come from? Like I don't want to like we don't need to question the well, I'm questioning the logic of this universe, but like where did they come from? But they essentially all like cover Gambit's body like he's a mummy, and so he's also gone like bright purple. And then as they explode away, we see Gambit alive with his red. Well, his eyes are red. Well, he's always got red eyes anyway. But he's very much looking more with a grayish blue tint, and he has this devilish smirk on his face, and that's how the episode ends. Now, I do hope. Oh, he's just got white hair as well. As he. Oh, that's the other thing. I forgot to get the death. I forgot to get the photo of him as death. But oh well. In the comic, he has like a more of a black outfit. In Marvel Rivals, they just added the Death Horseman skins. So Wolverine has one, Psylocke has one, and Gambit has one. They added a bit more hieroglyphic ancient Egypt vibe to it. But he did have like a full black outfit. I do hope he does get a slight costume change. I hope he's not just in his like normal outfit. That's like color swapped, but there you go. Um, and yeah, so he's back to life, and that's how the episode ends. Other horsemen, Banshee and Magic. We know that Siren and Colossus grieve them in this show. Interesting. I did wonder. I'm like interesting. I did think about Magic because I remember in the trailer we see Colossus mourning her, and it's like, well, we didn't see her at all. So maybe she'll be one, and maybe Banshee will be one. I mean, I know Banshee's been a death horseman, a horseman like resurrected with the death seed. Um, but interesting. I mean, they can't all be death though. That's my one thing is like, are they all going to be dead people that he's resurrected, or like who's going to be War and who's going to be? That's what I thought. Like, and I could see like, even though Wolverine was death, I could see him being War, which is why which is why I assumed that he would get his adamantium back through um through Apocalypse's process, and not just how he did it. Magic has a voice actor. Okay. I guess she's the horseman then. I mean, Magic has never been a horseman. At least not in the main continuity from what I can think of. Colossus has been a horseman though. I literally, in preparation for my live stream in a week and a half with Crash and Crisis, I was rereading again the post Secret Wars X and stuff, and uh, Colossus got turned into a horseman in the future, and he was the Horseman of War. So who knows? Maybe Colossus will be in that grief. Who knows? But yeah, he needs the harness and buckles at least. Well, yeah, I hope he gets a change. That's the thing. I do wish, and I mean, I guess it sort of happened now, but I hope going forward, like maybe not every season, but I feel like they just need to keep changing the costumes up. Like I'm sick of seeing. I don't want to see the 90s outfits anymore. But also, it's also 1997. It's been 5 years in continuity. They can change their outfits once or twice. Um, so yeah. Let me go back to some of the comments, but that's essentially the breakdown done. We've done it. Yay, we did it. Let me go back through the comments that I've missed. Max, you said this episode had Xavier grieving his boyfriend, Polaris story, Danger, more Polaris story, Daddy, Resin Gambi in the 25 minutes. Yeah, lots. So it is quite, but they do it so well. Like I can't hate it because it is quite smooth. Like part of me is like, oh, I wish we could go more deep, but they do it so well. It's like I can't even like I can hate it, but I'm almost like I appreciate the smoothness of which they like put things together. Like what a way to adapt things. Um, Also, while I'm going through these comments, now that we've reached the end, how would you rate the episode out of 10? I think this might be my second favorite episode. So I'd say maybe 8.5. And I think when I rewatched it again, so I could be prepared for this, I appreciated it more. Like at first I was a bit like, ah, but when I rewatched it again, I appreciated things a bit more. I appreciated the way they went about with Danger, even though, as I said, she's not as violent, and that's what I'd like the more like I'm going to kill my creator, Charles Xavier. Um, I appreciated how they like weaved it into the story of Apocalypse. Um, so yeah, 8.5. Um, what else? Oh, and y- Kwame, you said something about Extreme X-Men. Oh, no, not Rogue Red. Oh my gosh, not Rogue Red. Is the Extreme X-Men run worth reading? I do actually have the first volume in Omnibus. Haven't actually read it yet, but I have read parts of it for the Rogue and Gambit video I did way back. I think it's good. I think it's enjoyable. I don't think it's as strong as his like as Chris Claremont's main Uncanny stuff, but it's better than the Revolution Uncanny. And it's fun. Storm looks good. Um, and it does have Chris playing with things that are happening in New X-Men and stuff. So he's not completely like isolated. Um, uh, I really love Extreme X, especially their later issues, not the arena. Two words, the arena. Who were all the horsemen when Gambit was Death in the comics? So when Gambit was Death, it was him as Death. It was Polaris as Pestilence, um, Sunfire as Famine, and this character called Gazer, who was like a mutant who was a space astronaut, and then he could see like he had an X-ray vision or something, and he got turned into the Horseman of War, and he had a flying horse. So yeah, so Sunfire has like had made cameos. Polaris obviously a main character, so maybe. But I feel like I don't feel like she has a purpose into becoming. If like she was grieving, if she was grieving Magneto and she wasn't, and like she didn't have the support of the X-Men, I'd see it. But she doesn't. I feel like we've squared that circle now. Like in the comics, she became the Horseman because she'd lost her powers on M-Day. So she didn't have any powers, and she'd been taken by DAP or something. I can't remember that. It was all that stuff. So yeah. So Kwame Taylor, you're saying 9 out of 10. Carrie's saying 8.5. Max is saying I rate this a dupe does streetcar races as a main source of income, which is canon after that one cable run out of 10. Which cable run? Is that the one like the the Marvel Legacy bit of the run where they like he goes back in time and has a team of people from different eras and they trying to figure out who kills the external? Hmm. Two words, the arena, yeah. And I can see AOA Iceman looking horseman. Ooh. Again, where is Iceman? I'm hoping if Bodemir, if Bodemir is not involved anymore, maybe Iceman will have time to shine in season 3. If, as you said, Kwame, that you thought that Bodemir might have hated him. But yes, I'm pretty much in agreement with all of you. I think Max, you might be the outlier here. I felt this was a really strong episode. I don't know whether I'd put it above episode 2. I think I was just saying about that one, you know, like that whole X-Force stuff. Oof, and like Psylocke, oh, and Jubilee getting her moment to shine. Oh, so good. And the X Factor versus X Force. Oh, like I think that was like really really good. But this was a solid second place, I think. Um, yeah. As I said earlier, I think the next episode is called Strange Land Savage Heart. So I think it's going to be a Savage Land episode. So very intrigued about that. What could be happening there? You know who does speaking earlier though with Joseph and Zorn, Who does have a base in the Savage Land sometimes in the comics? Magneto. No, I don't know nothing, but that was just my guess. Has anyone got any final things to say before I leave this off with? We've almost been going for an hour and 45 minutes. This is going to probably be the longest stream I've ever done on my own channel, which is exciting. Thank you all for being here. Oh, also before anyone leaves, if you haven't already, make sure you like this video. I always forget. Every time I always forget. Make sure you like the video so that other people can see this and like the video as well, I guess. Cable volume 350, 150, 2017. Yes. That might be the Exodus episode. Oh, interesting, because I was thinking that earlier. I was like, Exodus and Siren are like two things we just haven't seen. Like we saw in trailers and we just haven't seen. So yeah. Maybe that would make sense because I think Exodus is going to be. Oh, and Colossus. Colossus. We haven't seen Colossus either, and I think Exodus is leading the acolytes in Magneto's like death, in the wake of his death, as he did in the comics. Do we get to see So and Sauron? Sauron. Maybe we will see Sauron again. Maybe this time he'll. Maybe this time I bet if we do see Sauron, he will definitely go. I don't want to cure cancer. I want to make people into dinosaurs. He's 100% gonna. If he doesn't reference that, I think that would be crazy. Like that. That's like the defining Sauron moment of the 21st century. This has been the funniest recap of this year. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your super chat as well. It's lovely having you all here. Thank you for being such an engaged audience. We only have 3 episodes left, so they got to get to it. That's exactly right. Oh my god, we only have 3 episodes left. Isn't that crazy? Why have we only got why don't we have 10 episodes this season? Like, that's just crazy to me. Crazy, crazy. Um, I'll never be free. That's Sauron Drake. Neither will I. We won't be free. So we better just embrace it. The one thing I would say next week's breakdown will probably be on Thursday, not Wednesday. That's mostly because I keep forgetting this, but Spider-Man Brand New Day comes out in the UK on the 29th, on the Wednesday. Of course, Spider-Man Brand New Day might very well have Jean Grey in the movie. And there's no way. I do not want to be spoiled about if she's Jean Grey, if she's not Jean Grey. I do not want to be spoiled on Twitter. I want to find out in the cinema. So I don't know whether I'll have enough time to to um watch what I don't know. I don't know if I have enough time to do the breakdown on Wednesday, but I'll definitely do the breakdown on Thursday. I will post something on Twitter on Blue Sky on somewhere if things change. But I guess keep an eye out, and if there's nothing that pops up by 9 p.m. UK time, which is whatever time for all of you, I will let you know. But assume it'll be Thursday, if otherwise. But yes, I won't spoil. When I find out, I won't spoil. I'll keep it secret. Um, but yes, oh my gosh, Max, you got tickets for Wednesday as well. Yes. And I actually don't think season 3 will be 2 years because they've said that they've already recording for voice lines for season 3. So I think we might get season 3 next year, which, yay, yearly X-Men content, which is exciting. But yes, on that note though, I guess I'll let you all go. Thank you again so much for spending your evening with me talking about X-Men 97. I hope you all have a great rest of your week. I will see you when I see you, which will probably be next Thursday. And again, I won't spoil whether Sadie is Jean Grey, but just don't ask me, and I won't tell you. But yeah, they have to get them out quick since most of their voice casts are like in the 80s. Like, you know, that does remind me. I'm saying goodbye, and I keep talking. That does remind me. There's a joke in the latest episode of the Cerebro podcast where they're talking about how, you know, people don't like the Magneto Rogue relationship because of the age gap, but realistically the age gap between Gambit and Rogue is bigger. Because of Rogue's voice actor, Lenore Zan. Amazing, incredible voice actor. But yeah. So I agree, Max. But yes, on that note, I will let you all go. I will see you all next week. Have a great rest of your week. Take care, and hopefully the next episode will be just as good. Bye, everyone.